Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. Today we're going to talk some Week 8 around the NFL. We are in the second half of the fantasy regular season. You know, and there's some other random players stepping up. This is the part of the year where all of a sudden different running backs are stepping up, and the running backs that should have stepped up are finally doing that as well. So it's some good stuff to talk about today. So let's start us off right away, jump into it with the London game, Denver, Jacksonville. Denver wins 21-17. Jacksonville started the year promising. They haven't done much since, but Russell Wilson throws for 252, a touchdown, a pick. Still, fantasy-wise, it's not doing much for you. You know, not doing much for you.
Yeah, he looked better, but
yeah,
it is still not a whole lot. And, you know, coming over on Jacksonville, but there are some promising kind of bright spots where you're kind of like, okay, I can see maybe something coming out of this finally.
Well, so the running game is going to be hard to judge. You don't know who's going to. Murray, Gordon are splitting this thing. They both had a touchdown. If you played them, one of those guys, you needed to. It's fine, right? You didn't get hurt, so you had a solid day, but. Greg Dulcich at tight end, he's one of the few, up and coming bright spots, 4 catches, 87 yards. And that's what you want to see at the tight end position when you don't have anything else, especially. So he's playing better. Judy gets himself a touchdown. Sutton only 1 for 13 though. So that one, Sutton's just doesn't, I don't know, never has put it together.
No. And across the board, there's not enough in the passing game, but it does feel like after their really rocky start, they're starting to put pieces in order. Because even Judy, even though he got the touchdown today, 6 for 63, not bad. I would have a hard time starting him, but at least I'm kind of seeing, okay, there might be a way forward. We'll figure out the backfield. Like you said, it's going to be tough. They're going to pretty much split. Neither of them looked better than the other. Both of them were below 3.5 yards a carry. But right now, the big one for me is, okay, if you had to pick someone, you could throw someone on the bench hoping that they come up. Maybe it's a Hamler. Maybe it is like someone got sick of Sutton or Judy. But Dulcich is the guy where I'm kind of like, okay, I can see a huge role for him moving forward. And that's a great one, especially with the tight end. And he has just been, talked about the last couple of weeks. So he's the big one. And Russell, he actually didn't have a terrible fantasy day.
It was fine.
But until there's just no reason to play him until he shows himself. But on the other side of the ball, we did finally see a just full-blown ETN experience, and he looked better than advertised. And I love this so much. I feel so much better about this. And we'll go through everyone, but Travis Etienne, first and foremost, he had 24 carries for 156 yards, a touchdown, and then he also had 3 grabs for 6 yards. But he looked great, 6.5 yards per carry. He was definitely the focal point, which is wonderful.
He's good, and they knew it, and they're like, all right, we don't need to. James Robinson is good too, in a way, but they didn't want his carries to take away from Etienne.
In a way, I love it.
In a way, he's good for what he is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to have on your team.
Etienne is just a different player. That we've been saying this for a year and a half now. It was clear as day. And the James Robinson people just couldn't. It was tough. I know. I get it. In fantasy, if you get a guy off the waiver wire, a no-namer, and he helps you win titles, believe me, it's hard to let go of him. It is. Alfred Morris for me, right? Back in the day. It's hard. It's hard to let go and realize they're just okay. They're just okay. Etienne, much better than okay. So,
yeah, without a doubt.
The other ones, Lawrence, he had 133, a touchdown, 2 picks. You're not using him in fantasy.
Not better than okay today.
yeah, you're not using much in this. Christian Kirk has not been playing great, 3 for 40. Ingram at tight end. You might be able to, you could use him possibly 4 for 55 and a touchdown. So maybe you're using that. All right, how about Panthers-Falcons? Falcons win 37-34. Panthers get a huge touchdown right at the end, DJ Moore, and then he tosses his helmet, gets a 15-yard penalty to set up a 48-yard extra point, which is missed, of course. Goes to overtime. They get another chance to win with a field goal. Miss it. Falcons don't miss theirs. So DJ Walker threw 317, 1 touchdown, which was to DJ Moore on that that bomb. 6 for 152 and a touchdown for DJ Moore. So even without the big touchdown, he still had, a good yardage day before that. So he's had 2 good days in a row. But maybe he plays better with PJ Walker, which is crazy to think. But the big story here is Deontay Foreman, 118 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Just a monster day for Foreman. He's playing the Falcons, though, so we'll see if this can continue. No Chuba Hubbard. He was out of this one. So he could still play and take some of this workload away from Foreman when he's back. But Foreman, man, he played well. Really, really well. So if you picked him up, you're feeling great. Maybe you got a guy for the rest of the year. So.
Yeah, you have to think he's definitely taken the lead back responsibilities, and Chuba Hubbard is he probably will take some of the carries away from him because I think that he's a quality, back. But Deontay Foreman is making the most of his opportunity, and 26 carries. Obviously, they're not shying away from him. So unfortunately, they didn't get this, and DJ Moore, I'm sure he already feels bad enough about it, but he was pretty excited. He doesn't get a whole lot of touchdowns, so when he got that one.
True. I mean, that is true. And then, just one other guy I'll point out, just because it's interesting to see if this is something that ever happens again. But Terrace Marshall, the second-year guy, actually had probably his best game he's ever had. And it's only 4 for 87. It's nothing crazy. But there was 9 targets involved. He didn't do anything. He didn't have anything like that last year at all. I don't think he did nothing last year. He was kind of a little hyped, as a possible guy, as a rookie who could do something. So 4 for 87, we'll see if there's anything that comes from this. Not really counting on it, but we'll see. Falcons, Mariota, 253. He actually threw 3 touchdowns in this one. 1 to Pitts, 1 to Bird, 1 to Algier, who caught 3 for 46. Pitts looks good when he gets the ball. 5 for 80 and a touchdown. He really is a good player. Just got to give him the ball more. On the ground, Caleb Huntley was the best back. 16 carries, 91 yards. Algier had 14, but only turned it into 39. Patterson should be back soon. See how that changes things here, but be good to get Pitts more involved. And Drake London, let's throw the ball Drake London a little bit. 4 for 31 for Drake London. I like to see him get the ball more. Well, Bears, Cowboys offense, 49 points. Didn't see that. Not all offense. I'll say that. Okay. There was some defensive scoring as well. Right. But still it's no Zeke. And then this happens. Prescott, 250, 2 touchdowns. So very solid. He threw 1 to CeeDee Lamb, who had 5 for 77. He threw 1 to Ferguson. But Tony Pollard gets an opportunity and goes only 14 carries, but 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not bad.
Yeah, he looked great. And, Chicago is Chicago, so you take it with a grain of salt. But we have seen Pollard play very quality football for quite a while. And Zeke is a great player, don't get me wrong, but this is
he was a great player. He was a great player.
And this is the reason we were kind of like, Pollard is one of those handcuffs you absolutely have to have. I grabbed him without Zeke in quite a few leagues, and I was able to play him today, and I had a, big production. But, this might open up the door to finally get to a more even footing with Zeke, because he really showed out, and he has that big playability.
It should. And I'll say, so other Cowboys quick, Schultz, he's finally healthy, maybe 6 for 74. So that's interesting at tight end. But so speaking of, it's like the Pollard Zeke thing. It's the same thing with the Bears. And are they finally realizing Khalil Herbert is just as good, if not better, than David Montgomery? And this is every other time Montgomery's been healthy before these last couple weeks, it was always just a complete Montgomery show, right? And even when he came back from the injury, it was like that. But these last 2 weeks, last week was 12 for 62 for Herbert. And he caught a 25-yard touchdown. This week, he gets 16 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. I'm not saying it's changing of the guard here, but it's more of a split situation now, maybe, hopefully.
I mean, yeah. I 100% agree with you. I do think that Herbert might start getting the first crack at it. He looked better today. I mean, he just did. Montgomery, if he is a guy that you can give the ball to, he did lose a fumble today, which doesn't help but usually pretty sure-handed. You can give him a bunch of carries. He can grind out yardage. He's not bad in that aspect, right? But he doesn't really have a big playability. Herbert was finding a little open space, and he was making the most of his opportunities. And, I do think that you said it very well. I think that not only in this game because I think both sides are showing it. But there is a lot of changing of the guard. Like the NFL, with everything that has been going on and just with offense being a little down, I do think that things are shaking out and they're starting to move towards slightly younger, more dynamic playmakers at the moment. Either that or the defenses aren't quite as used to them. But I mean, we saw it in this game on both sides of the ball. We saw it with ETN. They got rid of James Robinson. I mean, we saw CMC getting moved to 49ers, and now Deontay Foreman's getting an opportunity. We're seeing it all over the place. So I do think that is a very interesting thing that we have to start talking about, because this was a high scoring week, and a lot of teams are going to get shaken up by this. And whether it be injury or not, this is going to be kind of a pivotal week, I feel like, for fantasy, because you have to make sure moving forward your team is ready for the playoffs and you're not looking backwards like a lot of these people but he is supposed to get 5 more carries, like Montgomery versus Herbert. I think you lean towards Herbert now.
I would too. So Fields in this one threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 1, so solid fantasy day too for him. Mooney 5 for 70, N'Keal Harry caught a touchdown, and Cole Kmet caught a touchdown.
And I will say this too, because I think it's worth saying, even though he only had 151 yards passing, Fields, he really looked a lot better than he has in a long time. And they are letting him run, rolling him out. He is actually someone that I will be looking at to be, can he on bad defenses when he's going against them, because of his running ability and because he's starting to kind of figure it out as far as throwing it around the red zone, he might be a possibility for a streamer all of a sudden.
Well, these are his last 4 weeks. So he gets 30 points. This is in 6-point touchdowns. 30 points this week. He had 25 last week against the Patriots, 20 the week before, which isn't, crazy, but it's solid, in 19 the week before. So he's had 2 good games in 2 respectable games.
Yeah. 1920 kind of, on my radar, but is that fluky?
Yeah,
but 25-30 is legit, and he looked good. He was making very good plays, and I'll be honest, I actually watched this whole game because I was in Chicago, and he actually should have had more. Like Velus Jones should have caught another deep ball. He had a few drops, so he looked very sharp. I was very impressed because he had not looked like that in weeks previous. So
next up, Miami versus Detroit. Detroit blows a 21-7 lead. Par for the course. That's what you do. Tua throws for 382 and 3 touchdowns. It's the Lions. Don't get too excited. But, you play quarterbacks against the Lions. Mostert led the way with 64 yards on the ground, but Ingold gets the touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 12 for 188. Lions couldn't cover him. And Waddle, 8 for 106. He gets the 2 touchdowns. Mike Gesicki gets a touchdown. But it's the Lions. You're going to score against the Lions. Good offensive day for the Dolphins. For the Lions, Goff throws 321 and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift was back in this one, but only ran the ball 5 times. He caught 5 balls, though, for 27 yards and a touchdown. So he's involved in ways, but Jamal Williams is not going away. And he had 10 for 53 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. I think I heard when he scored, maybe it was the first or second one, he's leading the NFL in touchdowns, or was at the time. Rushing touchdowns. Might not be anymore, but at the time he was. Dude, that's not going away.
No, he is this year's James Conner.
Yeah. It's just not going away. And Swift owners, he's great, but why? Why are the Lions aren't going to work him to death? There's no point. They're 1-6.
Yeah. So we suck again.
We do. That's what it is.
So hurtful today.
I'm happy it happened early this year. It's just no getting our hopes up. We didn't have to drink the Kool-Aid for too long. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Through the air, Hawkinson 3 for 80, Raymond 3 for 76, St. Brown 7 for 69. Oh, Vikings, Cardinals. Cardinals had a chance with the ball, and Kyler Murray gets sacked on the last drive to end the game. He throws for 326 and 3 touchdowns, so it was a good fantasy day for him. He led the team in rushing with 36 yards. There was no other ground game to be said for this one. DeAndre Hopkins is good after his layoff. He's 12. He's
God,
good.
Was he good?
Yeah. 12 for 159 and a touchdown. Rondell Moore, 7 for 92 and a touchdown, and Ertz caught a touchdown. But DeAndre Hopkins is good.
That one-handed catch in the end zone, I was kind of like, oh my God, I forgot. I missed him. Watching him play. He's so good.
He's a good player for sure. If you held on to him, great.
Yeah, can you imagine too if they still had Hollywood Brown, who was doing very well? I mean, he was a top 10
Right?
fantasy wide receiver, and they got Hopkins back. This offense would be
Oh yeah,
very, very dangerous. So
it would.
we'll see later in the year if he's able to come back or not.
So Vikings get the win. They're 6-1. I mean, I don't feel like they're a great 6-1, but they're 6-1. So hey, keep winning. Cousins threw for 232, 2 touchdowns, but the touchdowns go to Osborne and Johnny Munt, the backup tight end. Jefferson caught 6 for 98, Thielen 6 for 67. On the ground, Cook ran the ball 20 times for 111. Got a touchdown, but Madison stole one, and Kirk Cousins stole one. So could have been a massive day if all those touchdowns go to Cook, but it's a solid day. Raiders, Saints win 24-0. Raiders, ugly. So with the Raiders here, Carr throws for 101 and a pick. There's people that use Derek Carr, especially in 2 QB leagues. He's obviously used, but he's borderline, in streaming weeks, he's used, and he killed you this week. And Josh Jacobs, who's been dominant, comes back down to earth because they were down. Like, what are you going to do? He has 43 yards on the ground off only 10 carries, and he caught 2 for 11. Matt Collins led the way with 7 for 64. Devontae Adams, 1 catch for 3 yards. You know what? Adams misses Rodgers, and Rodgers misses Adams. I mean, it's just, it didn't work out for these two. These two guys.
No. At least Devontae Adams can, cry tonight on his pile of money.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
that's true. And I guess he likes doing that in Las Vegas a little better than doing it in Green Bay, I guess.
Yeah.
But Saints, Dalton throws for 229, 2 touchdowns. He's not going to lose this job now. Jameis, sorry, you're on the bench. Taysom Hill, he 10 carries for 61 yards, caught 1 for 11, and he was 1 for 1 passing. Taysom Hill's an interesting player. But yeah. It's Alvin Kamara. That's the story here. Alvin Kamara. This is Alvin Kamara, right? This is the one that was such an awesome fantasy player. This is the guy. 58 total yards. He has 18 carries for 62 and a touchdown, 9 catches, 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This is the Alvin Kamara. This is exactly what we used to see. And they seem to have figured that out. And this is what you do with them. So, and Andy Dalton's utilizing him, and I think Andy Dalton's going to keep playing because of that. He's getting, this is what's going to win for you.
Yeah. Be precise. Don't turn the ball over. And if you can dump it off to Kamara, man, it makes life so easy.
It's going to make him a really good fantasy player for the rest of the season. Olave, 5 for 52, was second on the team in receiving in this one. Patriots, Jets. Everyone came into this one thinking Jets are finally going to get this win over the Patriots, exercise some demons here. And it didn't happen. Mac Jones leads them to victory, 194, touchdown, a pick. The touchdown went to Jacoby Myers. Ramondre Stevenson, 16 carries, 71 yards. Harris had 11, but it was only for 37. But Ramondre, 7 catches for 72 yards. So nice 143 total yards for Ramondre Stevenson. Solid day. Just he's in your lineups despite Harris being there at this point. He's the guy. Harris is going to get a lot of carries too, but it's definitely Stevenson now.
Yeah, another team that is kind of working out their younger guy. And I think Damian Harris he has plenty left in the tank. We'll see if they end up moving him somewhere else. But
they have is the deadline like 2 days, I think? Tuesday? Is the deadline Tuesday, I believe. So
it's coming up pretty quick. But yeah, I think this is one situation where it makes sense. But Patriots, I don't know if they will because they usually stockpile people. So
yep, deadline's Tuesday. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. For the Jets, Zach Wilson throws 2 touchdowns, but 3 picks. Both touchdowns went to Tyler Conklin. Garrett Wilson led the way with 6 for 115. So it's good to see Wilson do that. That's the first time he's done that with Zach Wilson, I feel like. His bigger games early in the year came with Joe Flacco. He's had, 4 games in a row where he hasn't done anything. So it's nice to see something again from Garrett Wilson. We know the talent's there, so it's good to see it. On the ground, so James Robinson gets his first opportunity there, 5 carries, 17 yards. We'll see how much more work he gets next week. He should get more and more. Michael Carter, this was like his one chance, I feel like, and it's 7 carries for 26 yards. So I'm happy I traded Michael Carter this week as soon as the Breece Hall injury happened. I actually traded away Michael Carter. So, what's the James Robinson trade? Somebody still wanted him, so I got a deal there. Well, Steelers, Eagles roll 7-0, and now they win this one. 35-13. Hurts throws for 4 touchdowns, 285 yards. A.J. Brown catches 3 of them, 6 for 156 and 3 touchdowns. They couldn't guard the guy. It was impossible. He's really good.
Yeah,
he is.
He's phenomenal.
I was so wrong on this team, this passing offense.
So I was so right on him.
Yeah.
But I will say that Hurts and him, man, they have figured out the connection. I wasn't sure if it was going to get this big, but it is legit. They are going to be a very good team for quite a few years if they can hold on to these pieces, because they are working right now really, really well. And, and Miles Sanders too is playing really good football. It always feels like that might be a piece that they trade for a running back. You kind of heard that, but
there's been a lot of rumors.
Is doing okay.
He only got 9 carries. They didn't run the ball lots for how much they're up, but he had 78 yards of touchdown out of it.
Yeah, so. And his long was only 21, so it wasn't all in one run, which is always good to see. But yeah.
For the Steelers, Kenny Pickett throws for 191, no touchdowns, a pick. Trace Claypool threw the only touchdown for the Steelers.
I'm glad I played him in one of my leagues, and I was like, he got a touchdown. Oh, he threw it. Perfect.
He only caught 4 for 45, but he threw it to Derek Watt, I believe. On the ground, Najee Harris. Wow. If you picked him first round, and you don't love it. You don't love life. Not good. 8 carries, 32 yards. Jalen Warren, 6 for 50. We'll see if Warren keeps an uptick in carries. This was a blowout, so I'm not going to read too much into the carry numbers, but Najee's just not been good. He's not. And the leading receiver on this one was Freiermuth with 57 yards. Najee did lead the way with 6 catches. So PPR-wise, you felt a little better, but can't feel good about what he's been doing. How about Titans-Texans, a game that I didn't care about? To be perfectly honest. So Malik Willis gets to start, right? Tannehill's hurt. Malik Willis gets to start, and you clearly knew they did not want to throw the ball with Malik Willis. 6 for 10 for 55 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. It was all Derrick Henry. 32 carries, 219 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They had 6 completions in this one. That's it. And Texans still could not stop Derrick Henry. Just couldn't stop him.
That was the most impressive part. They gave it to him 32 times, and you knew that it was going to him every time.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do anything about it. And, I realize it's Houston, but still, that is just how dominant Derrick Henry is. My hat's off to him. That was impressive.
So for the Texans, Davis Mills throws for 152, a touchdown, a pick. The touchdown pass went to Dameon Pierce, who saves his day with that because he only had 51 total yards, but he gets a touchdown. So he's a really good player. He's just on a bad team. So we'll see if, touchdowns can keep saving his days like this, but he's good. He's going to have good weeks, but being on a bad team is a struggle. And Brandon Cooks led the way with 4-4-73. Well, this Commanders win 17-16 over the Colts. Taylor Heineke just wins games, doesn't he? Something about him.
Yeah, you can't. I'm not going to pretend that he is the guy that you want, but dude, he makes things happen. And another guy that loves him, which I keep mentioning, McLaurin. He's finally coming around. He's finally starting to look better. And it wasn't like an abundance of offensive numbers, but at least McLaurin, 6 catches for 113 yards. Antonio Gibson gets the only receiving touchdown. He was 7 for 58, but that is a bright spot, and they got the win over Indianapolis. So, good for them on that one. But Heineke, 279, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Ran for 1 too.
And ran for 1. He actually had a decent fantasy outing as far as a streamer. Does he enter your thinking at all during bye weeks or no?
It's hard. I guess you could. His schedule it's Minnesota at Philly. I don't love it.
Don't do Philly.
But then he has Houston, Atlanta. That's a good. Yeah. If you're week 11 and 12 and he's still the guy here, I might take a shot at it.
Yeah,
for sure. So the ground game here, Brian Robinson only 8 for 20, but Gibson only 7 for 19. But Gibson has turned into this receiving back. Maybe we'll see if this continues. 7 for 58. We'll see if he can become this. It looked like he was becoming getting into more of a third down role too before. So we'll see if he can start catching this kind of balls. He's a PPR guy all of a sudden. So we'll see if that's something that continues at all. So the Colts, Sam Ellinger starts. He throws for 201, no touchdowns, no picks. Yeah, not much there. Jonathan Taylor, 16 carries, 76 yards. Man, this is a far cry from last year. He's just not, the team's not as good.
No, he wasn't bad, honestly.
He hasn't been bad this year. It's just
the
team's
they just can't get him enough bulk. Like you can't get him over 20 carries. And then this one hurt too because he got stuffed on the line, and then he goes in and blocks for Naheem Hines, who gets the touchdown. So it makes it look a little worse for him. But it was tough too because you have a new quarterback in there. They don't respect it, so they're going to try to stop the primary ball carrier.
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, Alec Pierce, once again, looking okay for a rookie, 3 catches for 65 yards. And then Michael Pittman Jr., 7 catches for 53, and Paris Campbell for 2 for 43. So, not really a whole lot there. What are you doing with Pittman at this point?
I think you just most likely plug him in on most lineups you have. I worry about Ellinger, but let's get a little bit more under it. Let's see what happens a little bit more. But man, I don't like that Matt Ryan's not the quarterback for him for that regard.
Yeah, I've lost, not in his ability, but I've lost faith in the fact that I can rely on it at all. So I'm very open to the.
He's only 2 weeks removed from. Yeah, he's only 2 weeks removed from 13 for 134.
I know,
but that was Matt Ryan. So
yeah, it was Matt Ryan, and I don't know. My faith is kind of gone. I feel like if I could move him, I would. Would that enter your mind at all?
Yeah, if you could,
because it's only a week away from a big game. So
yep, if you could, I wouldn't mind doing it. 49ers Rams. 49ers roll in this one, 31-14. Garoppolo throws for 235 and 2 touchdowns, but Christian McCaffrey goes 1 for 1 for 34 yards and a touchdown. Then Christian McCaffrey runs the ball 18 times for 94 yards and a touchdown. And then Christian McCaffrey catches 8 balls for 55 yards and a touchdown.
It pulls off the cycle.
What a day.
Man, really, he's only been there for a week, but the second game in, and he did everything for him. I was like, wow, like you're hoping to see that he would be special in this offense because it's geared to him. And Jesus, did they pull out everything in the second week with him?
And so Debo was hurt this one, right? Not in this game. Man, Debo his former role is gone. It's not going to happen. They used to always look for Debo, right? They put the ball into Debo's hands all the time. No, they're going to put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands. No, that's where it's going to go. McCaffrey's going to have a good year the rest of this year. That's for sure. Ayuk led the way with the receivers with yards with 81 off 6 catches. He got the touchdown, and Kittle caught a touchdown too. But man, we'll see if the 49ers can roll with McCaffrey there. It's a good outing. The Rams, though, they keep struggling. They're 3-4. Stafford 187, a touchdown. That's it. That's not much. The one touchdown does go to Cooper Kupp, who catches 8 for 79, but he gets an ankle injury late in the game when this game was over. And McVay knows it, and he said it afterwards that he's kicking himself for putting in Kupp when they're down 3 scores with 2 minutes left. Kupp doesn't think it's too severe, but we'll see. We don't know. On the ground game, man, it's brutal. Darrell Henderson's the guy you thought you could use, but he goes 4 carries for 16 yards. The guy who actually leads the way on the team is Ronnie Rivers with 21 yards. He
averaged 2.6 yards a carry.
Not good.
The rushing game was non-existent.
I would, if you can, stash Kyron Williams, who is coming back off the IR hopefully soon. If you can, you don't waste a spot for him if you can use it, but someone else is going to have to run the ball here. This isn't happening with these guys. Or are they just going to realize, you know what, whatever differences we have with Cam Akers, we got to get him back in. We'll see. Maybe if they don't trade him by Tuesday, they get him back in there.
Yeah, they probably do. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. I just don't think they can really run the ball efficiently.
The O-line's not good.
It is against 49ers, so they will have games that are better than this. But I do not feel good. And Akers will not be the bell cow. Henderson will still be there. Malcolm Brown, Ronnie, whoever the heck else they have. I just don't like this offense at all right now. It's just not clicking. It doesn't mean they can't get back to it. And without Kupp too, I think that will change things dramatically. If he misses any time, I would have a hard time playing almost anyone on this offense because what sets up the run if they can't run it with Cup in. I don't know.
It's not good for them. So
no, it's very, very strange. It feels like this is the hangover that you start talking about after having such a wonderful season. But yeah, we'll see. They're 3-4.
Yeah,
so
they're there.
Make moves, but they just have to hang around until they kind of figure things out. But I mean, Matthew Stafford's numbers say it all. 187 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. But that is, that's not going to get it done. That's not how the Rams won last year. So
no. Then our final game, how about Seahawks and Giants? Seahawks are pretty good. They win 27-13. Giants fall to 6-2 only. But the Seahawks at home are not. They're 5-3. They're just going to be a tough. They're tough. I don't know. I don't understand it. But Geno, just a solid game. 212, 2 touchdowns. He keeps being a solid player. Tyler Lockett, 5 for 63 and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 6 for 55 and a touchdown. Just last week we were talking. We thought DK Metcalf had a relatively serious knee injury, and it could be weeks before he was back, and he doesn't even miss a game, which is crazy. He got carted off the field last week, and he's back, and he gets a touchdown. Ken Walker, not as much in this one, 18 for 51 and a touchdown. I bet you Michigan State wishes they still had him on the team last night.
We do. It was respectable actually until the end, but
I mean, sure,
it was fine.
22-point win. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. I respected the way Michigan went about it, to be quite honest. Like usually I'm like, oh, I hate them, but honestly, I had a hard time hating on your running back. I appreciated that they just established the run and they were like, we will beat you this way, and they didn't go for I was like, yeah, good for you.
Down your throat.
And also, I mean, I can admit it. This is the first year. Usually, I think you guys are so inflated, so full of it. I do actually think you guys have a top 4 team this year. So whether or not you pull it out and you can make it to the playoffs, but I can cheer for you a little bit this year.
What do we got? Giants. Daniel Jones. People used him this week, and he throws for 176, no touchdowns, no picks, and he only got 20 yards on the ground when he's been doing that. But that was rough. Saquon didn't get much going. 20 carries, only 53 yards. They knew they just had to stop Saquon, and they did. But he got himself a touchdown. So, hey, made it respectable. Slayton led the way with 5 for 66. Wan'Dale Robinson, 2 for 15 only. So, I'd love to see some stuff for Wan'Dale Robinson, but it wasn't today. There we go. That's it, Jeff. Week 8, almost in the books. There's still Packers-Bills going on right now, and Bills have a nice 27-10 lead. Looks like they're going to pull that thing off. No problem. No sweat there. Packers still can't score. Oh, wow. It's the fourth quarter. Let's go throw a number out here. Aaron Rodgers, 11 for 16 for 74 yards. Touchdown and a pick right now.
Dude, he is going to start freaking out. He's going to force them to go get someone.
I mean, they got 2 days. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But also 4 Michigan State players were just suspended, Jeff.
So, there we go.
So don't beat up people in the tunnel. Come on.
Yeah, deal with it quick.
All right, there we go. That's week 8. Week 8. We're getting there. This was a better week, I would say. I did think there was some more scoring again. Good players played well. McCaffrey, Kamara. It was nice to see that kind of stuff, right? It wasn't so just like nothing's happening anymore. No, there's some good performances finally. So, yeah. All right, we'll see if it continues. That'll do it for today. We'll talk to you guys next time.